All right, this is from September 2020. Paris Hilton's real voice, it was all an act. For those of you who aren't familiar with Paris Hilton, she played this character on reality television where she used this very high-pitched baby voice. And I'm not even going to attempt to replicate it here to maintain my own dignity. However, you know what I'm talking about. It's that Valley Girl type of voice that's very high-pitched and uses like a lot and just is very babyish in nature. And Paris Hilton was using this voice to portray herself, as she says, as a dumb blonde. However, the problem is they didn't tell anyone that. They just went on pretending that this is Paris Hilton and this is who she really is. And obviously, that's a part of the whole blurring of the lines between reality and fiction that reality television manifested in the collective psyche. It's become more and more difficult to tell what is real and what isn't as they brought this reality television trend into the mainstream consensus reality. You have people who can't decipher what is real and what isn't. And I have to admit, it's very difficult at times because these people are good actors. And so you don't know a lot of the time if what you're watching is actually a reality television show or if it's actors pretending to be real people and they've just put the label of reality television on it. Because you can see how that would be a very effective tool of manipulation if you could blur the lines to the point where now you're calling it reality television. However, it's your own actors that you have on that show or whatever it is, the documentary, series, whatever, and they are pretending to be real people and everyone viewing it thinks they're real people. And so it's a very effective way to manipulate what everyone believes, or more precisely, it's a very effective way to influence what everyone is perceiving to be the correct way to act, speak, talk, what is on trend, etc. And that's a lot of what Paris Hilton was involved in when she first was put on the scene. She was the first social media influencer. And what a coincidence that the very first social media influencer who allegedly invented the selfie, as she claims, is connected to the bloodlines that have a lot of ties to the control system that is all around us. And if you think about how it specifically relates to Paris Hilton, she was brought into prominence first through her sex tape. And so think about the subconscious warfare that's being played on your mind where this first social media influencer is popularized through a sex tape, and then her character on television is speaking in a baby voice. Do you see how that is linking sex and being a baby together in your mind subconsciously? You're not consciously aware of it, but you're linking all of that together when you're perceiving the thought form that they've created for Paris Hilton, that they want you to be assimilating into your being. In many ways, that's sort of the beginning of the normalization of pedophilia, but it's only done in a very subconscious way when it first starts. It's not linked together, obviously. It's only now where all of that's linked together, obviously, because we're 15 years further into the agenda. But anyway, I'll play this real quick and then we'll move on.
Well, this entire time I have been playing a character, so the world has never really truly known who I am. And the real me is actually someone who is brilliant, And I'm not a dumb blonde. I'm just really good at pretending to be one. Well, this entire
That's actually a pretty huge revelation for them to admit to. Here we have someone connected to the bloodlines actually admitting, yes, I was just playing a character on television. This is the real me. And that's huge because we can then apply this as an admitted to example to other areas where this might be taking place, such as in politics or sports or whatever you can think of, right? Where they have famous people, quote unquote, presented to us through the media who could just be playing a character, right? Now we have an example where they've admitted to this. And I'm just now realizing that people might not know what I mean by connected to the bloodline. First of all, here is Nikki Hilton, Paris Hilton's younger sister, who is now Nikki Hilton Rothschild. She married into the Rothschild family through her marriage to James Rothschild, a grandson of Victor Rothschild, 3rd Baron Rothschild. In 2015, this marriage took place. So Paris Hilton's sister directly married into the Rothschild dynasty. And then obviously we have the connection to 9/11, and so it shouldn't be a surprise to learn that the Hiltons were marrying into the Rothschild family when you look at the Millennium Hilton that was directly adjacent to Ground Zero and how that ties into 9/11 and everything that is associated with that wavelength, right? I mean, I've gone into that many times before, so I won't do that here, but you see how their marketing and advertising was pointing to this before it ever happened. Well, actually, I don't know that for certain. I don't know that this imagery existed prior to 9/11. I'm pretty sure it did, but don't quote me on that. I would have to look that up. But you see, it's the two towers and it's the vortex that this event was sucking you into, that was controlling your mind. And you have the Hilton hotels using this imagery at the same time that they have this monolith hotel at Ground Zero. So we know who the Hiltons are, and obviously it's not some coincidence that one of their daughters marries into the Rothschild bloodline, and then the other daughter is one of the first social media influencers and one of the first quote-unquote celebrities to have a sex tape popularized, which serves many agendas all at once, but obviously that was a part of normalizing pornography on the internet as a thing that everyone should be doing. Oh, and before moving off of this YouTube video, you have to understand, someone like Paris Hilton has a team of public relations correspondents, right? A team of marketers and advertisers to where everything is very calculated. Every move that she makes, everything that she says. Including this new image they're trying to portray here, which is, I didn't watch the documentary. There's no way I'm sitting through that, but I've seen clips and various headlines about it, alluding to the fact that she had this more difficult childhood than you would think and was sent to some school and she was somehow abused, and I don't know what that's all tying into. Probably the Me Too stuff, the feminist movement, things along those lines. But anyway, I bring that up specifically as it relates to the imagery here. Meaning, someone sat in this chair before Paris Hilton and they looked through the camera to see what the shot was going to be. And it's not an accident that she's sitting directly below this piece of art right here, because it's evoking a lot of the Eye of Providence imagery that you can find in the Freemasonic tracing boards and elsewhere around the world. One of the best examples is, this is one of the oldest cathedrals in Europe that was built by Charlemagne. And you can see the Eye of Providence here, how they've used the very same imagery in this mirror that Paris Hilton is sitting under. So none of this happens by accident, and you can even see the way that they had the light in the shot reflecting in the middle of the mirror as the actual eye here. And, well, I don't know if this is a mirror, but maybe it was just reflecting off this surface. The only thing missing is that it's an actual cube instead of a triangle, but the cube has its own symbolic relevance throughout the world as well. But I just wanted to point that out real quick, how none of this is by accident. This was all planned in advance for her to be sitting directly under this, putting the imagery out there into your subconscious mind as you view this. So that's what we're dealing with here. And we have this person admitting, yes, I was playing a character. And then it goes all over the news. Paris Hilton shocks fans as she debuts her real voice during a live TV interview, as the heiress insists she's been pretending to be a dumb blonde. And then they show the same imagery here. And this is the character that she played, right? This dumb blonde, baby-voiced, sexually perverted character. And then this is one of the headlines I was referring to. I feel responsible. I helped create a monster. Paris Hilton admits guilt over children being obsessed with social media after claiming she and Britney Spears invented the selfie. Yeah, I'm sure Paris Hilton feels guilty about what she was told to do. Like, they come to these kids, I'm sure, at a very early age and make them understand what their role is going to be. So I suppose it's possible that people involved in this could feel some type of guilt at some point along the way, but I'm sure all of those billions of dollars that her family has is softening the blow, cushioning the blow over that guilt, right? But yeah, this is her claiming that they had invented the selfie. Regardless of whether or not that's actually true, yes, Paris Hilton was one of the forerunners in the quote-unquote social media influencer phenomenon that is anything but organic in nature. I mean, just look at what they've created, the Instagram, Snapchat culture, where there's no communication that takes place. It's just vapid images and material glorification, where everyone is trying to mimic what celebrities like Paris Hilton does so that they too can be famous. That's what it's all about, becoming rich and famous like these people, and so you mimic what they do. And then ordinary people see that, and then they're mimicking that on their Facebook pages or their Instagram feeds, and they're taking pictures like these people are. And that creates the situation that we're in now, where people are so detached from reality and getting sucked into their phones and the internet in general in that way, where that becomes their reality. It's more real than reality itself, right? That's the idea of Videodrome. Creating that new synapse in the brain that is addicted to technology, addicted to the dopamine rush that you get. I mean, I hope you understand that Facebook scientifically alters its layout to produce the most amount of dopamine, to affect your serotonin levels in the most effective way. They've scientifically crafted all of this well in advance to suck you in to it. And I realize there's some irony there of me pointing this out as I record a YouTube video that I'm going to upload to the internet. But I hope for the ones that are just recordings where there's no images, that you're at least doing what I do, which is downloading those YouTube videos, turning them into MP3s, and then listening to them while you're doing other more productive things not connected to the internet. It's definitely not healthy to sit in front of the computer all the time, and I'm just as guilty of that as everyone else. I get sucked into the vortex just like everybody else does. And that's something that I have to constantly work on. Britney Spears is actually an interesting story as I'm looking at this picture. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on with her that's really weird and sort of MK Ultra-ish in nature, you know, the way that they might have programmed her mind with various alters, and then the alters have broken and her real self is trying to break out of that. Now, to my point, that could all be sort of scripted. That could be her acting. We kind of don't ever know for sure, right? And we have to stay on our toes with this stuff and not get too locked into a worldview for that reason about what's really going on. We have to allow for the possibility that one of these individuals could have their programming break at some point and actually try to break free. And we would see that in the media, and then they would do things to someone like that Britney Spears is potentially experiencing, where they won't let her have control of her own life, and there's all kinds of things happening to her and weird stuff that she's posting on Instagram along those lines. But I won't get into that rabbit hole right here, right now, because I wanted to get to Kim Kardashian too, who used to work for Paris Hilton, which shows you how all of this is so connected, because, oh, she's the stylist for Paris Hilton, as if Paris Hilton wouldn't have a team, an army of stylists working for her when she was on television and playing her role. But they say, oh, Kim Kardashian used to work for Paris Hilton, and then they're in the news together directly after this documentary is released. And that's all a part of social media marketing. Kim Kardashian has this large following, unfortunately, of people that pay attention to her. And so she, as a part of planning the release of the documentary, goes and visits Paris Hilton. They get the buzz in the news a little bit more, and then people are made more aware of the documentary. This is standard marketing. But it's very interesting because Kim Kardashian then branches off on her own, has her own sex tape, and then they promote her and her family through their reality television series. Again, I mean, how close to reality are these people to their real selves? We don't know. They've definitely become more and more plastic, all of the Kardashians, literally. This face right here doesn't even resemble in any way, let's see if I can find that picture, who she used to be. I mean, look at her face here compared to that image that I just showed you. It's a completely different person. And again, that ties into Bruce Jenner transitioning to a female, Caitlyn Jenner, blurring the lines of reality, blurring the lines of gender. And they're all involved with how much plastic surgery that they're getting. And then this is supposed to be what's on trend. This is what women should want to look like, this completely unnatural figure that they're promoting that can only be achieved through surgery, where you have this tiny, tiny waist and this everything else is large. And then your face is completely puffed out. It's insanity, right? But that's all a part of blurring the lines of what it means to be human. What a normal human looks like, acts like, sounds like. And these two were principally involved, and they are both a part of the bloodline, pretending to be something that they're not on television. And then who does Kim Kardashian marry? Well, she marries Kanye West. And here you have Kanye West with Joel Osteen, and I bring this up because you have to understand how they're playing the game here, right? I see people under Kanye West videos really excited because they think that he's now a Christian. They think that he's now against what's going on in the music industry and those who run and control Hollywood in general. Like, no, guys, come on. They give you these people because they know how they've programmed your mind. They've programmed your mind to worship celebrities. They've programmed your mind to only think that popular people are capable of having a really credible opinion. So they give you exactly what they know you want, which is someone speaking out against what's going on in Hollywood, the satanic industry, right? They want a Christian to speak out against it. And so they give you Kanye West and his new gospel leanings musically. I mean, the guy literally holds a quote-unquote Sunday service now, pretending to be a Christian, right? How do you know he's pretending to be a Christian? Well, he's with another pretender, Joel Osteen, these evangelical preachers that are on television that are in no way anywhere close to what the man they call Jesus Christ was preaching about, right? So I just hope you see how all this is tied together, and I know everybody listening to this for the most part already knows all of this, but you never know who's listening for the first time, and I just wanted to throw this out there as it relates to Paris Hilton and how this was a huge admission that she made. Hey, I was just playing a character. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, I was just pretending to be a dumb blonde. I'm actually this really intelligent individual, and that should be setting off alarm bells in your mind as it relates to George W. Bush. If you go back and look at debates that George W. Bush had when he was governor of Texas, he's very well spoken. He doesn't sound like an idiot. I mean, the guy went to Yale, right? And it doesn't matter how much you party, you're still going to pick up some intelligence from attending Yale. But then he gets into office as president and he plays this dumb character. Oh, I'm President Bush, I'm dumb. And that played into the narrative at the time that they were going for. He was playing a character. We have the president playing a character. And then that gets you into the Ronald Reagans, who were actors before they got involved. Donald Trump, what was he? A reality television star. Right? You see how the lines are being blurred here. But those alarm bells should be going off like, oh, hey, how many of these people that are famous are actually just actors playing a character? How much of reality is actually scripted in advance? And this is a huge example that you can provide to anybody of, hey, did you know that Paris Hilton was actually just playing a character and all of that was fake? Well, if you didn't know that, if your intuition didn't tell you that, then I think you need to take a step back here and not be so confident that you have everything figured out as it relates to all of these characters in the media, whether it's an athlete or a president or anywhere in between, a congressman, a social media influencer. And they all have the backstories, right? They all have the humanizing elements of, oh, well, yes, I grew up here. And this is what I went through. It was very difficult. I rose from rags to riches. This is the story they tell about The Rock, right? Who might be a future president at some point along the line. I came to Hollywood with $5 in my pocket. Sure you did, buddy. Yeah. So I just wanted to get into this story because it's a big one, man. It's a big revelation. But I'll leave it at that. Later.